Hi, my name is Heather Pollard, and I am the creator of An Authentically Beautiful Life After 50, where we talk about all things transitioning into our 50s, the 30 years ahead, and how we can make them more meaningful, loving, and joy-filled. So today I welcome guest Bodhi Simpson. Bodhi is an artist, art therapist, author, and teacher who incorporates work with imagination and creative expression into her work with others. She enjoys reconnecting people with the magic and mystery of the imaginal realms and is in learning to see through the eyes of their hearts and helping us see through the eyes of our hearts. So, welcome, Bodhi. We're going to be talking about nurturing self-compassion through creativity.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, the art therapy piece is really interesting. I'd love to know more about how you arrived at this work that you do.
Yes, it's really funny because when I set out for my continuing education after high school, I had never heard of art therapy before. Now you hear about it, it's everywhere.
Hmm.
But back then, I was searching for kind of the next level, maybe like clinical psychology. I always knew I wanted to help people. I was always somebody people seemed to be able to talk to. But when I heard about the field of art therapy, I was like, oh my goodness, this is me. And so, what art therapy is, it's a combination of visual arts, of psychology, of human development, and helping us to become more self-aware through our creative expression. We can learn new tools and new ways of being through the creative process. And for me personally, ever since I was little, I always expressed myself most easily through my art. And I
Hmm.
know for some people, that's the case. For some of us, there's other ways. But for me, it's kind of like how I always navigated hard times personally. I would kind of go within.
Hmm.
And so it just seemed like, oh my goodness, I've been training for this kind of a job my whole life when I found out there was a career where I could also help other people learn how to consciously use art to help themselves.
That's really powerful. I relate it to journaling, and I was just talking about this with another interviewee. The power of journaling and writing, you get to writing to get everything out on paper. But also, we were talking about the physicality of writing, and rather than typing into a journal, but writing. You're creating, words on paper with a pen, you're moving your arm, you're moving your body. And so would you say there's correlations with creating art, just the physicality of it, or
Absolutely. So with any creative expression, whether it's writing or dancing or moving or, music or visual arts, it's all embodied. So it comes through us and we take some kind of an action, which
Mhm.
means that something shifts within us and we're kind of driving the bus as far as our own process, which is really amazing.
That's great. I'd love to get into uh, some of our questions that we had planned. Why is it important to nurture self-compassion? And how does that relate to art therapy?
Yeah, so well, when we think of art therapy, so most people come see me for counseling not because I'm an art therapist, but they think, "Oh, you look nice on the Psychology Today ad," or "My friend, your doctor said you were helpful."
Hmm.
Most people, when I let them know that I'm also an art therapist, kind of freeze up and say, "Oh, do not ever make me do anything creative. I only talk. My sister's the creative
Hmm.
one." Um, so from the beginning of even introducing this as a process, I find there's like we block ourselves from being curious about a new process because we kind of get into that judge part of our brain or comparing ourselves to others. So even when it comes to the basic aspect of asking somebody to put something on the page, even just a scribble with a color, a lot of times we're kind of getting curious about what people believe to be true about themselves and
Hmm.
about whether they're really open to their own healing, whether they feel they're worthy of their own healing. So I found out pretty darn quickly, of course, through my own healing journey, but also in helping others, that self-compassion is kind of the beginning. It's the building block of are we able to allow ourselves to receive our own love and nurturing as we are
Right,
vulnerable? Yeah.
right. How do you start to do that through art? I mean, is it just
Mhm.
first getting someone over the hurdle of even making a mark on the paper. Uh, and particularly people that aren't the people that do say like, "Oh, I'm not artistic at all." You know, how does compassion come into it?
Yeah, it's so a big part of my work is to help everybody that I work with find the method of expression that's most comfortable for them. So we would start, if talking's most helpful, we will start with talking. And I might add in some little, just little brief warm-up activities just to kind of start to get comfortable with different materials. And a lot of people, like adults, will say, "Oh my goodness, Bodhi, I haven't used watercolor in 30 years. This is
Hmm.
silly." And
Hmm.
it's like, wow, it's so interesting when we get to exploring beliefs around why we think using a watercolor is silly. Where did that come from? When
Right.
we were kids, we all just kind of authentically expressed ourselves. And at what point, so we can kind of get curious about with anything that we're doing using art materials, it reflects something about us in our life. So maybe we keep going with the art, or maybe we go with where we got stuck and say, what does this remind you of? Are there other times in your life where you felt not good enough or not worthy, or whatever it is that's coming up? And
Hmm.
yeah, so I guess that's a big piece. And then as far as starting to use the art materials, I want to say that we kind of set the tone that our life is an art. Everything we do is an art. So we
Hmm.
can
Good.
go with the metaphor of that. It doesn't have to be we're using watercolors. It can be helping you recognize when you're in the garden, that's your art. When you're in the kitchen, that's your expression, that's your art. And so it's also kind of helping each person kind of maybe we're using watercolors, but it's a larger metaphor for how you're bringing your presence to your life.
Hmm. No, that's really powerful. Yeah, it's about what I hear you saying. It's about getting in touch with maybe some things we used to love doing and then didn't or put away because it's childish. But children, that's what they do. They play. There's a freedom. And I think that's what we're all trying to find and get to is how do we maintain that beingness of freedom that we had when we were kids before all the shoulds crept in, all the pleasing. So
Exactly.
that's really powerful work you're doing.
Thank you.
Why is developing a daily creative practice important? And and what is that practice? Would that be art specifically? I mean, I guess it could be anything for anybody, meditation, whatever. I'll let you
Yeah.
talk more.
No, it's good. I'm watching you because as you're talking, you're kind of doing this. And so for me
Mhm.
personally, so I've done a lot of different trainings and different practices to basically bring my focus to this present moment over and over and over again for the rest of my life instead of
Mhm.
being in the past of what happened or worrying about the future. And so you can think of a creative practice as different ways just to continue building that presence and at the same time nurturing and growing love for yourself in this moment, despite whatever the heck's going on. And the awareness of, so creative practice is like, um, yeah, that's creating that space to get curious about what am I thinking about? What am I feeling? What is my truth in this moment? And honoring that.
Mhm.
Um, so many times, especially as women, we are so over busy. We do for everybody, not just physically, but also like emotionally. Like, how you doing? Checking in with how everybody's doing, everybody's needs.
Mhm.
And so it's like creating that space to check in with our own needs. And when you were doing this with your hands, it reminded me for myself is I really struggle with just taking the time every day to sit in meditation and tune in. I'm constantly like, wait, what do I have to do? So for me and for the clients that I work with,
Mhm.
a lot of them, it's helpful to have something I'm doing with my hands. So it's with the larger intent of bringing this presence and this awareness, but I'm taking action and moving it through my body versus
Mhm.
just kind of sitting in my imagination. So it makes it more concrete for me to have a creative practice. And it can be anything. If we were working together in counseling, we would play with different tools. I can share something with you today. Um,
Yeah, that'd be great.
but first off, I think it would be like for you, like just exploring different materials and seeing like, oh, that's kind of fun. I like that. And then 10
Yeah.
minutes a day playing with it.
Right. Um, I I do, I'm a really creative person. I love needlepoint. I love painting and all that, but like I actually my all my other stuff I get so busy with and I forget how good it feels. And I've often told myself, Heather, you should do a daily journal by just drawing and sketching, It's a habit
Yes, exactly.
anyway.
Yes.
So, um, how can we use creativity to nurture self-compassion? Do you have a creative practice that you recommend? Like when you say creative practice, what are you talking about specifically?
Yes. So it's creating, okay, so I would say as you're starting, if you're able to, this is ideal, not for everybody. Some of you still have children at home or grandkids or, who knows what going on. But if possible, some alone time, even if it's 2 minutes, it doesn't necessarily matter how much time as much as it does consistency. Because you're creating that space for yourself every day. Sometimes it might be 2 minutes in between clients. Some days it might be 10 minutes or like, oh, I have 30 minutes or oh my goodness, I have 3 hours to really dive in. And it's letting go of what you think it needs to look like. It's really about allowing ourselves a raw expression, especially at this point in our lives. Like we've been doing life like we were supposed to, or how we were taught, or, to fit in or whatever it is. And at this point in life, it's like really just allowing whatever needs to come through and for us to be honest about it and be with it. And so it might be, I have some markers here. Um, a lot of times I like to do this where I like, so for oops, that's not a very, I hit the computer. So allowing yourself, so what I just did is I moved it because it didn't feel right. So it's following your own sense of beauty. You don't
Hmm.
even have to show this to anybody. If you have a therapist, of course, you could take this to your therapist, but it could just be you creating the space basically to create a mirror back to yourself. Like,
Hmm.
what's the energy kind of going around inside of me? So you could even just start with like drawing a heart. If you're
Right.
somebody who, because again, that's kind of giving your subconscious mind that idea of like love. Okay, I'm working with love. If you're somebody who prefers writing, you could just like write inside the heart. You could, I tend to
Hmm.
like one idea I had for today, which I do not have my pastels with me, would be I like pastels often because you can't do too many details. And so you can just take 5 minutes and put something on the page and you would choose the colors that feel like love to you right now. So a lot of times for me, it's like a light pink just feels like love. And so for me, I would pick like a light pink chalk pastel. And I could simply, you could simply just allow the colors to go on the page in whatever way you like and see if you're able to feel the love. Or you could literally doodle what an open heart might look like. But the goal is to not just create something, whether you're journaling or creating, but to also practice feeling it. And so, like, even if you just drew a heart and filled it in pink, see if you could imagine filling yourself up. As you're filling in the pink, imagine
Hmm.
filling up your own body with your own love from yourself to yourself. This being said, for many of us, you're going to try it and go, ew, this feels terrible. This is awkward. I'm totally feeling stiff and closed off to this. And so, a huge part of this daily practice is, again, not judging ourselves, but recognizing where am I closing my own heart to myself?
Right.
And so if you're not able to feel love for yourself, or if you just tell yourself, well, this is stupid because I'm stupid and I'm terrible and I'm a bad person. And, these are things that when people are honest about what they believe to be true, it can be shocking what you actually tell yourself when you're aware of it. And so just like maybe allowing yourself to be honest about whatever's coming, take a deep breath and invite yourself to see if you can open your heart a little bit more to yourself. And so the more you practice it, um, eventually you're going to start to feel it and you're going to go, oh my goodness, like I can notice when I'm closing myself off to life, when I'm activated,
Mhm.
recognizing that when I do that, it's to protect myself. But then when I do that, I can't feel my own love. And then you can also notice when you're open. But remembering to be open is to be vulnerable. So this whole process is to help us kind of work through that vulnerability so that we can live our lives wide open no matter what happens.
What kind of transformation do you see in your clients when they first start to work with you using art therapy and the kind of work that they're doing? Like how does it progress over time the more that they open their hearts and the more they get in touch with who they really are?
Yeah, I feel like it's super individual for each person. So I just want to put that out there. For some people, it's going to be like, oh, this is fun and this is comfortable and I'm ripe and ready. And for
Mhm.
some of us, it may be the very first time we are trying something like this. Um, but I've had a lot of people I've worked with over the years that have said, Bodhi, I've been in counseling for 30 years, in talk therapy and in 3 sessions here, I feel. And again, part of that could be because they've done so much work to get to this place, but that by taking action over and over and over again, that in this way, and having mirrored back the truth, so that they can kind of get curious about how they want things to be, how they want to be feeling about themselves, what's your intent for your life? Um, Anything's possible. I mean, huge transformations. There's so much about what we believe to be true that guides what we actually take action on.
That's so true. Belief systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. How could someone just get started? Um,
Hmm.
I mean, of course we want them to work with you, but if they're at home feeling like I want to try this, how would they get started?
Yeah, so you might start with what you're most comfortable with. You don't have to, but like for you, Heather, you mentioned, I believe, did you say like crocheting or some fiber arts, something?
Pointing.
Needle pointing. Oh, needle pointing. So
Yeah.
those are all wonderful as well if you're into like knitting or crocheting or needle pointing, because
Mhm.
again, it's that repetitive process which will put you into that really
Yeah.
centered space. And as you're creating, you can simply again bring your awareness to your own heart. As you're breathing, you're consciously
Hmm.
connecting to your own body and being so amused and so pleased that you're doing this. And again, noticing if you're just tuning into how you're feeling. Oh, I'm feeling really off today, or I'm feeling really down. And so, like, you can just imagine as you're doing your creative practice, that you're bringing yourself your own love and nurturing. And so, if you don't have something that you love, this would be a great, I'm giving everybody permission to kind of play with, say, okay, moving forward, I'm going to explore what would actually be fun for me. And maybe there's things that you've always, as a kid, you loved that you want to get back to, or that you've always wondered. Like, I have a lot of students and clients that have said, like, "Oh, I've always wanted to get into collaging. I've never created the time, or I've always
Hmm.
wanted to play with alcohol inks, or, there's always usually something that's been a little interesting. And nowadays, you can watch YouTube videos to learn how to use these.
Yeah.
I would
Sure.
say just get some of the materials. And if you don't want to go to any of those levels, I always recommend getting just a nice little basket and get the
Hmm.
basics. Get some nice markers, color
Hmm.
pencils,
Hmm.
watercolors, and some paper. And like literally, it would be like a sacred place that you put it and that you light a candle, maybe put some music on and
Yeah.
just play. Just play.
I apologize for the barking dogs.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Um, Bodhi, how can people find you?
Yeah, so my website is bodhisimpson.com and I only I'm only able to see clients virtually here in Maine, but I do offer many different kinds of workshops and
Mhm.
classes for therapists and for others. So
Yeah.
happy to connect with anybody that would like to be connected in some way.
Okay, great. Um, Tell us about your free gift.
Yeah, so when you go to my website, bodhisimpson.com, there's going to be, it'll guide you to a page where you enter in your name and your email to basically you're going to sign up for my blog. So if I ever share, yeah, information about different offerings or something I'm diving into that I might want to share, you'll get that. But when you put your name in there, you'll receive an email with a free gift that is called Doodles of Intent. And it's actually a specific doodling practice to
Mhm.
help you also connect with a word to clarify. Basically, not just you can practice bringing love to yourself with this process, but also just starting to get clear with our thinking mind about what do I want to be focusing on? What do I want to bring in to my life also more consciously? So it'll just be another guided practice PDF of how to do this. Because in the beginning, a lot of us, we do kind of need a step by step. How do I start? And so you look at,
Yeah, that's really great. Um, it is interesting. Speaking of doodles, I didn't plan this, but I noticed that like when I'm talking on the phone and whatnot, like I would draw these kind of like just like this.
Mhm.
I don't know. And then I'd start like coloring them in like this, you know? I don't know what that's about, but I started getting this urge like, man, I wanted to start doing some like bigger drawings and paintings and stuff. And that's actually how I got to
I
this
wanted to know if that was
painting.
your painting.
Yeah, and so I call them my doodle paintings, where I start with just a big doodle and then I fill in each little section and I layer up the painting, I let it drip. Layer up the paint, I let it drip. It's acrylic, so it dries fast. And I mean, I totally didn't plan this at all, this whole like thing, but like that's such a meditative process for me where I'm solving a problem as simple as what color to put in the section or like whatever. And it's like so great because I let go of everything else in my mind and in my life for that moment. Now I can take it steps further after learning from you, learning to kind of maybe feel more deeply into connecting with my emotions as I'm doing it. But I'm usually more in my head. And so sure
Mm.
that's a challenge for a lot of our viewers. But I just thought I would add that. I hope that was edifying to
I
people.
love that. This is really important because, right, there's a reason you put this painting behind you. It's
Well,
your
not
expression.
consciously. I had no idea we were going to talk about this,
I love it. It's your
but
expression, and so you're sharing with everybody. So kind of what I'm saying is like I'm planting seeds of like try this, but you're showing us literally you went with the flow of kind of what was coming through you and what felt
right, like
right. And
seed and the
yeah, exactly.
manifestation.
Exactly what we're talking about. And so some people may, so you're kind of showing it, it could be just a doodle on a phone book, or it could
Mhm.
evolve to something. Sometimes we even take what we did and then we're like, ooh, I love that. I'm going to take this and have it be something I actually put in my space that you can now sit with that and work with that
Right.
consciously.
I think it's important to acknowledge that this is important, this doodle. This is important. Like, this isn't some stupid chicken scratch. And the only reason it's not is because I'm recognizing that it's not. And I'm having the confidence to say, oh, this could be something else. This could be something like another level. This could be,
Right.
um, anyway.
Yeah. It's communicating with you almost.
Yeah.
Thank you
Well,
so much, Heather.
thank
Yeah.
you, Bodhi. Is there one thought you'd like to leave our listeners with today as they go out into the week?
Yeah, I would say. Just pay attention to what part of our little talk lit something up in you and go with it. Everybody's going to walk away with something different that spoke to them. And yeah, that's information. Anything that catches our attention or excites us or even repels us is information. So yeah, take some time and be with that. You can doodle about it, you can journal, or you can just like go out in nature and kind of just connect to your body and see what's coming through you.
Yeah, and honoring it is important. So,
Definitely.
anyway, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Heather.
Yes. Okay.